Hello there and a wonderful welcome to Lntv production of Year in Review program. My name is Edward Tamba, anchoring this program, and the big stories we're following. Soccer legend George Manneh Weah gets elected and subsequently sworn in as President of the Republic of Liberia. Government begins deliveries on its promises, pays WAEC fees for all 12 graders, breaks ground for the construction of the 14th military hospital in Margibi County. After years of delay, President George Manneh Weah signs into law the Land Rights Act and the Local Governance Act. Government of Liberia clamouses the 2018 year with the arrival of the Purple Rice as the government dedicates its first complete road project, the Dual Community Road Project linking Dual Community to Claratown. These developments are all packaged, but we'll take a very short break. To be right back. Stay with us. Welcome back to the program and thanks for rejoining us. Now, it took almost 73 years for Liberia to get to this point. And exactly I'm talking about the 2017, the transition in the 2018 national election. Well, that election saw the election of Senator then George Manneh Weah and of course Joel Howard Taylor elected as President and Vice President respectively. National elections Chairman Jerome Kokoya called on the elected officials from the 2017 national elections to honor their election by serving the people who chose them to their various positions. The NEC chair made comments when he certificated George Manneh Weah and Joel Howard Taylor as President and Vice President respectively of the Republic of Liberia and other elected officials from the national legislature.
The certificate we are about to present to you does not only or do not only represent confer of legitimacy to pronounce you to the world as a duly elected officials, but also as an embodiment of the power, trust, and aspiration reposed in you by your various constituents and the people of Liberia as a whole. When the majority of voters who turned out to vote in the October 10 elections and a round-off election of December 26, 2017, selected you on the ballot, they did so considering you as the best candidate to lead our nation for the next 6 years. Since the December 26, 2017 elections, the NEC has received words of commendation from Liberians and foreigners alike for successfully and peacefully conducting the round-off elections. The success would not have been possible without the support of the government of Liberia. For this, the Commission is grateful to Her Excellency, Madam Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, for leading the first democratic transition of authority from one elected government to another in 73 years. We want to thank again the Minister of Finance, Mr. Boyman Kamara, and his team for all the help they gave the Commission. During the course of our interaction, Mr. Kamara has come across as a very kind public servant. We are grateful to you, Mr. Minister, as we pray that you continue in this manner.
That was the National Elections Commission Chairman, Councillor Jerome Kokoya. While President George Manneh Weah says his utmost responsibility is to provide the positive change promised the Liberian people during his campaign. Speaking during his inauguration, President George Manneh Weah said he would engender the course of change that he promised the Liberian people.
All our citizens and international guests, we thank you for coming. I have spent many years of my life I'm overwhelmed with the crowd and the energy here today, and I guarantee you, when we finish, there will not be a winner or a loser. Today we all wear the jersey of Liberia, and the victory belongs to the people, to the peace, and to our democracy. The tens of thousands of Liberians here today, and many more in our community across the country who are listening, gathered together around radios in the Palava Hut. It is to you we are responsible to deliver the change you deserve. Indeed, we must deliver the change that our people need in order to transform our lives for the better. I promise to do everything in my power to be the agent of positive change.
That was President George Weah. The president also used that occasion to also call on all elected and will-be appointed officials to dedicate their energies and times to the transforming of the lives of the ordinary Liberian people.
It is also a transition from one generation of Liberian leadership to a new generation. It is indeed a confirmation that democracy exists in Liberia, and that it is here to stay. We have arrived at this transition neither by violence nor by force of arms. Not a single life was lost in the process. Blood should never be the price tag for democracy. Rather, this transition was achieved by the free and democratic vote of the Liberian people, guaranteed by the rule of law. This inaugural gathering also celebrates an important precedent that we Liberians can and will rely on established institutions and the rule of law to resolve our political agreements. This demonstrates the maturity of our institutions and that we as a people have learned valuable lessons from our brutal history. My fellow Liberians, let none the splendor of these ceremonies, nor the celebration of electoral victory.
President George Weah there speaking. Well, the government of Liberia early March 2018 announced the payment of fees of all students expected to sit the West Africa Senior High School Certificate Exam WACS for short. Well, several benefiting schools, including public and private institutions, have been expressing gratitude to the government of Liberia led by President George Weah. We have a report. Take a look. The move by government to underwrite the fees of WACS exams has come at a time when many parents and self-supported students were finding it difficult to pay the fees. There are also public outcry that the fees of $65 United States per student was too much for most parents who are already overstretched by the hard tuitions in private schools, coupled with the current economic situation. Government's approach has brought great relief to both the students and their parents in an apparent response to the country's messy education system. At the government-run Todman Hart School, these students are not holding back their appreciation for the government.
I would like to say thanks to you people for coming to do forward. And I would also like to extend my thanks and gratitude to President George Weah for this great help. Because it was easy. Some of us were even thinking that we were not going to be able to go for this WACS.
G.W. Gibson students, like their counterparts at the William V.S. Todman High School, described the payment as timely. Many of them believe the payment of their wax fees relieved their parents of financial burden.
I appreciate the government for paying our wax fees. They give us time, there were difficulties. Our parents didn't have to pay our wax fees, and then they help us to pay the wax fees. So I want to say thanks to the government, and so far.
The Buchanan Street Assembly of God School is among several private schools benefiting from the government's initiative.
It's wonderful. Truly, it's great for the government to take initiative to do this for us. We're happy for it. And we want to tell the president and the administration thanks, a very big thank you, and pray God grant them more success for what they have started. And there are more they can do. We pray they look into it to do more for us, take other initiative to help us get things as students of the country to make us achieve during the WAS period.
Student henceforth Woods is confident the government will succeed in its quest to improve the educational system. He wants the Weah-led government to undertake more educational programs to benefit Liberian students. Given the poor results from recent public exams, many Liberians will now be looking up to the outcome of the WAGs, whether there will be an improvement in the results. The election of Senator George Manneh Weah and Joel Howard Taylor as president and vice president respectively left vacuum in Montserrado and Bon County, while the National Elections Commission issued a raid to the magistrate to conduct by-election in the two counties, that is Montserrado and Bon counties. While the raid is in consonance with Article 37 of the Liberian Constitution. Here is Councillor Jerome Kokoya with the details of the raid.
Whereas Article 37 of the Constitution of Liberia states that, I quote, in an event of a vacancy in the legislature caused by death, resignation, expulsion, or otherwise, the presiding officer shall, within 30 days, notify the Election Commission thereof. The Election Commission shall not later than 90 days thereafter cause a by-election to be held, provided that where such vacancy occurs within 90 days prior to the holding of general elections, the filling of the vacancy shall wait the holding of such general elections. Whereas, on February 13, 2018, the National Election Commission received from the Honorable House of Senate a communication informing the 9 of 2 vacancies in the Senate regarding Montserrado and Bon counties, respectively, which were caused by the election of former Senator George Manneh Weah as President of the Republic of Liberia and the election of former Senator Joel Howard Taylor as Vice President of the Republic of Liberia. Whereas the holding of the next general elections is more than 90 days away, hence, the NEC is mandated by Article 37 of the Constitution to cause a by-election to be held in Montserrado County and a by-election to be held in Bon County not later than 90 days after receipt of notification from the Honorable House of Senate. Now, therefore, with respect to the reference vacancy in Montserrado County, I do hereby command you to issue election rates to the 2 election magistrates of Montserrado County to conduct a senatorial by-elections in their respective magisterial areas on the 8th day of May 2018 from the hour of 8 o'clock at the meridian to 6 o'clock post meridian.
That was Councillor Jerome Kokoya. Well, at the inception of the CDC-led government, the government of Liberia set up a special presidential task force for the retrieval of government assets, including vehicles. As of March 2018, the head of the presidential task force, Benedict Reeves, said the task force has retrieved about 72 vehicles already. What Mr. Reeves said, as a means of easing their works as well, the task force have hired field intelligence officers to help locate government vehicles. He been explaining more at the Ministry of Information regular press briefing.
Today, the task force has retrieved about 72 movable vehicles. So you're counting between the 26th of February till now. And with a total of about 30 of them that are not movable, you know, it's saddening that officials who held high profile position in this country engage into low-class behavior like abstracting parts from vehicles so that you don't get them away from their compounds. So we got about 30 of those vehicles in such conditions. The task force has also vetted and recruited dozens of volunteers to act as agents. We call them the FIU, the Field Intelligence Unit. And those areas outside of Monserrate also include Central Liberia, Nimba, Magibi, Grand County. In an effort to continue the team and to keep the team well-spirited, the Special Presidential Task Force has reached out to several stakeholders to bid and solicit their financial and logistical support. To date, the NASCO is a first-year entity to provide goodwill assistance to our appeal. The funds are being used towards the provision of FIU allowances, fuel, lubricants, and utility, operation, and administrative expenses.
The head of the Presidential Task Force on Government Assets Retrieval, Benene Reeves. Now, the Liberia Institute for Statistics and Geoinformation Services, LGIS, launched the 2016 Household and Income Expenditure Survey with the highlight of several socio-economic indicators for Liberia. The survey highlights Liberia's demographic characteristics, including poverty, health, unemployment, education, and overall economic indicators that are relevant to inform policymakers about Liberia. While launching the study on behalf of President George Weah, Deputy Foreign Minister for Administration Maxwell Kimaya thanked Liberians for their commitment to the survey.
On behalf of His Excellency George Weah, President of the Republic of Liberia, that LGIS remains the only official arm of government responsible for producing official statistics in Liberia, and that the data information process across the country starts and ends with LGIS. We want to say a big thank you to LGIS and wish to assure you of our fullest support as a government, even as we go towards the conduct of the 2020 round of the National Population and Housing Census in Liberia. I'd like to say a big thank you to our partners, the World Bank, USAID, African Development Bank, the European Union, and CEDA, who helped us greatly to achieve such landmark. Today, you share in this success because you stood by us even when the resources for conducting a rerun seemed far-fetched. To the peace-loving people of Liberia, we say a big thank you for opening up your homes and allowing us to dig deep into your household business for information that is useful for all of us today and the future generations ahead. We look forward to seeing days, weeks, and months researchers using this data meaningfully. Write articles if you can. Write even books if you can, and make Liberia proud under a global agenda and regime. Finally, on behalf of His Excellency President George Weah, I hereby declare the 2016 Household Income and Expenditure Report as trusted, credible, and reliable, and in so doing, officially released. God bless us all.
For his part, LGIS boss Francis Ray presented the key highlights from the survey.
The indicators provided by this survey, poverty level, agriculture, productivity, and other social economic indicators are urgently needed for evidence-based policy making and monitoring of government program implementation. Demographic characteristics. The population of Liberia is estimated to be above 4.2 million, with 51.1% being females. The average household size has 4.3 persons. A little over a quarter, that is 27.7% of households are headed by females. Liberia is also young. Almost half, that is 49.1% of the country's population is under the age of 18 years. Poverty. In terms of poverty, half, that is 50.9% of Liberians are classified as poor. There are twice as many poor Liberians in rural areas than urban areas, 71.6% versus 31.5%. Male-headed households are generally poorer than female-headed households. Absolute poverty level at 52.3% and 46.3% respectively. River G, Brown Crew and Maryland have on average the highest 40.8% rate of extreme poverty in the country.
Now, in April of 2018, young journalist Tyrone Brown of Super FM and Super Television was murdered, while the lead suspect Jonathan Williams behind the murder of young journalist Tyrone Brown admitted to the commission of crime to the Liberia National Police after being interrogated, while police spokesman Moses Carter made a disclosure at a press conference in Monrovia.
According to Alice, when the fallen Liberian journalist knocked at the door, she asked, "Who is it?" And he replied, "Look at the door. You will see who is it." And it instilled fear in her. She went to the living room where her sister, Edwina Yuti, was watching Filipino movie. And she reported the incident to her sister about the unknown individual. So her sister also came at the window. And she opened the window a little while and asked. And then again it was reported that the journalist did not disclose his identity. And so it further instilled, according to them, it further instilled fear in them. So they went to inform the uncle, Jonathan Williams, our prime suspect, about the unknown person that was knocking at the door. Jonathan Williams, according to the testimonies of our witnesses, came out with a knife and asked journalist Brown, the fallen journalist, upon seeing him, to leave. In fact, he said, he asked, "Who did you come to see?" And he said, the journalist replied that he didn't come to see anyone. Okay, if he didn't come to see anyone, according to Jonathan Williams, our prime suspect, can you leave my compound because you are trespassing my compound? And he said, the journalist replied, if I don't leave, what will you do? It was from that he, Jonathan Williams, our prime suspect, chose to put him outside. In the interval of pushing me out of the house, that led to the scuffle that ensued between two of them, and they started fighting with the knife in suspect Williams' hand. The Ford, according to his testimony, the fallen journalist knocked his head on the wall. And it was from that they fought and rolled over. And then the knife in his hand was used on the journalist to stab the journalist.
At the same time, police spokesman Moses Carter said the LNP is investigating or have arrested a man impersonating to be the Minister of State for Presidential Affairs, Nathaniel McGill.
We have also arrested, and we currently have in our possession, a resident of Namgbetown ELW, Hit Campbell, who has been purporting to be another Nathaniel McGill and collecting money dubiously in the name of giving people appointments in government. Suspect Campbell was arrested on April 18. According to our investigation, he allegedly received $200 US from a lady identified as Lolia Hawanore, a resident of 11th Street, Cinco, under the pretense that the Minister of State, Nathaniel McGill, has sent him to collect the amount from the lady for the purpose of appointment in government. Not only that, suspect Campbell also collected $1,000 US from the lady for the same purpose. During our investigation, suspect Hit Campbell said he was sent by a man identified as Hilton or Zoe, who has been impersonating as Minister Nathaniel McGill. Suspect Campbell is in our custody. He is being processed for court, and after processing for court, we turn him over.
Police spokesman Moses Carter. Now, talking about the 14th Military Hospital. In May, the president laid the first block for the construction of that 14th Military Hospital in Margibi County at the EPK barracks. President Weah said he was excited for the implementation of the project, noting that the Liberian military has a huge tax, not just to the Liberian people, but to the sub-region and perhaps the world large.
We are excited and very pleased that this project we embark upon is almost on the way. So I'm happy. You know, our army needs prestige. This is not the first time in our developed country. The first thing you think about is our officers. You know, we have soldiers that defend us, that defend the community, West African community, like Liberia soldiers. They go to their defense quarters and their posts. The wounded, they come back home. No one cares for them. I think to have a military hospital here where when they come from the mission, you know, if it's not grave, then they can be treated home. So we need a military hospital. When they are injured, they come right back home, and so we can save their lives. So besides that, we have a huge community here. Those who that live around, I lived here before, so I know a lot of young people that have no access to health care. I think the hospital will help to give them access to health care. So we are excited. And I'm glad that the engineering battalion of the military taking care of their own hospital. You know, we said that we'll not be spectator in our own economy, and I think this is the way to empower the army to build their own hospital. It's a good thing.
While Public Works Minister Mabutu Yimpam described the project as a significant step forward to the implementation of the proper agenda of government.
We've come to symbolically lay blocks to join the Commander-in-Chief to do this. And we can certainly say that the Commander-in-Chief has said on numerous occasions that infrastructure development is at the heart of this government. Infrastructure development is the fulcrum of this administration. And that is why road connectivity and the construction of structures that will bring what we call improvement in the infrastructure sector of our country is important. And so what the President has done here is the beginning of the fulfillment of a commitment that he made to the military and to the people of Liberia.
What is the time frame given the engineers for this entire job?
What we can say to you, and you know, I know the press likes to hold people to specific dates, but the project has a duration, the project has a commencement date, and we will do all we can to stick within that schedule. On my right hand here is the engineer that signed to this project by the Ministry of Public Works. He's going to supervise the works, representing the Ministry of Public Works, which has what we call the statutory responsibility to supervise this project. And as you know, this project has been solely executed by the military. And when completed, the people of Liberia and those beyond our borders will come and see that the military in Liberia are not just men toting arms or women toting arms, but that they are also professionals.
Now, in July of 2018, President George Manawiya celebrated his first July 26th, or Independence Day of Liberia, not as citizen of the country though, but as President of the Republic of Liberia. During that occasion, his own Finance Minister Samuel Twe was the orator. Now take a look at what Samuel Twe said during his oration.
No problem in Liberia is bigger than the problem of corruption. Corruption has been a root cause of the conflicts that have run through our history. This generation of Liberians and this new government must renew its pledge to fight and end corruption. The first step toward this goal is to abolish the culture of impunity that has surrounded the misuse of public funds. This means we have to give more teeth and meaning to anti-corruption institutions like the General Auditing Commission, the Liberia Anti-Corruption Commission, and the Internal Audit Agency. These institutions are the watchdogs that ensure we spend public resources for the benefit of all our people. Our new president has promised that under his leadership, those who misuse public funds will have no place in his government. Such persons must face the full weight of the law. This is certainly reassuring to all our countrymen and our development partners who are providing important resources for our national development. Many Liberians have demanded an audit of the previous government as well as the prosecution of former officials of government accused of squandering public funds. Toward this end, the new government must conduct a review of all audit reports with a view to implementing many of the recommendations contained in them. The government of President George Weah has committed to conducting this review, and this is encouraging. Whether the present government should spend scarce human and financial resources on going after former government or whether that government should focus on the big economic problems that burden our people is an interesting choice that must be made. It is very obvious that investing resources in preventing new acts of corruption and in the economic transformation of our country should be preferred.
Samuel Twe, Finance Minister of the Republic of Liberia. Now, following speculation about plastic rice on the Liberian market, the Ministry of Commerce has declared that the pink bag rice imported by the United Commodities Imported is safe for consumption. While making a disclosure at a press conference in Monrovia, Acting Commerce Minister then Wilfred Bangura says scientific tests at the National Standard Laboratory revealed that the rice was good enough for people to eat.
Ladies and gentlemen of the press, on last Thursday, August 23rd, 2018, the Ministry of Commerce and Industry, through our illustrious Minister, Professor Wilson K. Tape, informed the Liberian people about the presence of what was alleged to be plastic rice in the commerce of Liberia, imported by the United Commodities Incorporated. The Ministry of Commerce and Industry, being the regulatory agency of the government with the responsibility to regulate the market and protect the Liberian people, swiftly convened a meeting of rice importers to investigate the allegation. At that meeting, we quarantined the consignment of UCI pending the release of scientific tests carried out at the National Standards Laboratory. Ladies and gentlemen of the press, as promised by the Ministry of Commerce and Industry through its Minister, Professor Tape, on August 23rd, 2018, the Ministry, through the National Standards Laboratory, conducted a conformity assessment test from Friday, August 24th, 2018 to Tuesday, August 28th, 2018 on the UCI product named United Grain with ID NSL RS 792. The Ministry of Commerce and Industry is therefore pleased to announce to the public the outcome of the conformity test. The test revealed that the sample of rice submitted is identical, organic, and that it has a property of rice, and that the sample is not a plastic rice. Therefore, the pink-bagged rice under consideration is deemed safe for consumption.
In order to enhance the capacity of ordinary Liberians through housing activities, the designs for the proposed 50,000 housing units to be constructed in Liberia were unveiled at the Executive Mansion in August of 2018, while the houses to be built in 3 categories were unveiled by the Burkinabe company Geoparts in collaboration with the National Housing Authority (NHA). Geoparts President Lntv said the intention is to help Liberia through the provision of income housing.
He's very excited to be in Liberia. It's not about coming to Liberia because he want to make profit. He came to Liberia because of love for Liberia. And he tell the Liberian people, thank you, and the warm welcome he receives since he been here with his entourage. And he's doing everything that he can to make sure that the president mandate for pro-poor people is achieved. And he will do everything in his power as the president of GPAS Immobilier Group that this visit is not just a visit. It's a brotherly home. He's home as a brother, and he's going to do everything in his power. This is why he came with all his team, the technician that will even start the work going at the same time. So he's happy to be here, but he's here because of love for Liberia.
Okay, we understand that you'll be constructing about 50,000 housing units in Liberia. Sometimes the anxiety of the Liberian people will now become high. So, are there timelines to the project?
La presse demande que peut-être les enseignements de la population ne seraient pas, ils sont très envie d'avoir les maisons. Est-ce que tu as un temps frame pour que on peut voir si le travail va commencer? The president of GPAS is saying they're not putting a price tag on a population. It could be whatever the Liberian people want, based on their needs. They are willing to invest as much as possible to meet the Liberian people need. So they're not going to put a price tag, 1 million, 2 million on housing, because it depends, they are here based on the needs of the Liberian people.
What we are asking.
Lntv is the president of Geoparts, the Burkinabe company, to construct the 50,000 housing units in Liberia. Well, for his part, the Minister of State for Presidential Affairs, Prosit for President George Manawia, underscored the importance for the housing units to be constructed in Liberia.
Housing is a very big priority for the country, and the country is very excited. The President said Liberia is open for business. The need for housing cannot be overemphasized. So we are happy that you're working closely with the National Housing Authority to see how we can alleviate the housing needs of our people. Sitting by my side is Honorable Tomo Fala. He's a member of Parliament and chairman of the Ways and Means Committee, the National Legislature of the House of Representatives. So I'm very pleased. I would like to listen to your presentation. In whatever way the Office of the President can assist in supporting your effort, we'll be very pleased to do so. So thank you, Mr. MD. We would like to see the presentation.
Also at that program, the National Housing Authority Managing Director, Dwana Sion, said they have done due diligence on the company and that as soon as the contract is signed, the construction of the housing units will begin.
As it stands right now, we are hoping to conclude this contract before they leave. They leave on Sunday. So since they came, they have been very busy. They have visited various sites that we have constructed home. They have visited various lands that we have. So they have seen some of the beauty of this country. So, and they have met the bank, the LBDR bank, met the land authority, they have met public work. So we estimate that this contract is going to be signed before they leave, hopefully on Friday. Then after they sign, originally we normally tell our investor to build sample home or pilot home so we can see it. Gone are those days when people just copy and paste, and when they bring it to us, we look at it, we say go ahead and build. No, this time around, we want people to do a pilot project. Even though we have gone to their country, we have done the due diligence. The home they show you is exactly the home that they build across West Africa. So, however, our climatic condition here means that we have to do more investigation. So because of that, we had earlier thought that they should build a pilot project, but now we think it is feasible for them to continue on this project without building a pilot project. So as soon as we close this deal, sign this document, they go back in Burkina Faso. Their only worry now is to transfer money, and this is why they were visiting LBDR to ask them their interest rate in terms of transferring their money from their bank here, open an account so that the project can start immediately. The hope is that they should be able to start, if everything goes well, just because it's a private investor, they are not loaning to the Liberian government, that we have to go through the legislation. So as long as we go through this process and we sign this deal, we estimate that maybe before November or maybe before October, it's just estimate that we're working on, but we believe that it's going to start as very early as hopefully October.
Dwana Sion is the MD of the National Housing Authority. If you're just coming our way, a reminder you're watching Year in Review, a production of the Liberia National Television, Lntv. My name is Edward Tamba, anchoring this edition, and the big stories we're following. Soccer legend George Manawia gets elected and subsequently sworn in as President of the Republic of Liberia. Government begins delivering on its promises, pays wide fees for all 12 graders, breaks ground for the construction of the 14th Military Hospital in Margibi County. After years of delay, President George Manawia signs into law the Land Rights Act and the Local Governments Act, respectively. Government of Liberia clamouses the 2018 year with the arrival of the Pro-Poor Rice as the government dedicates its first complete road project, the Do Community Road Project, linking Do Community to Claratown. We took a very short break to be right back with more developments still ahead. Stay with us. Welcome back and thanks for rejoining us on this Year in Review news program. Now, after his election and subsequent inauguration as President of the Republic of Liberia, President George Weah attended the United Nations General Assembly for the first time as head of state, where he used that occasion to thank the international community and other world leaders for ensuring a peaceful election in Liberia.
Madam President, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, late last year, Liberians participated in presidential and legislative elections, the result of which represented a major shift in the underlying fundamentals of the Liberian political dynamics. In an orderly, lawful, and a peaceful manner, Liberians voted in overwhelming numbers for a change for hope. This was the first time in 73 years that Liberians enjoy a peaceful transfer of power from one democratically elected government to another. At the end of the long campaign, when the results were announced after the runoff, it became clear that the pendulums swung in the direction of useful leadership, and the paradigm has shifted in favor of change and transformation. The United Nations and its various bodies, as well as regional organizations and many of our bilateral partners and friends, were direct witnesses to the maturity of the Liberian electorate, our respect for law and order, and the successful democratic processes. As standard bearer of the winning coalition for democratic change, the mantle and responsibility of leading this transformation therefore devolves upon me. When I was inaugurated as the 24th President of Liberia on January 22, 2018. The challenges of leadership are enormous, but in each and every one of these challenges, I see opportunities to make things better and to bring permanent improvement to the lives of all Liberians as we devise policies and programs that will have a lasting and positive impact on the lives of our citizens.
President George Weah there speaking. Well, the president also used the occasion at the United Nations GA to inform world leaders and the world at large about how he intends to run the government of Liberia through his proposed agenda for prosperity and development.
Madam President, the umbrella program under which we intend to pursue prosperity is the proposed agenda for development and prosperity, our national development plan for the next 5 years. This is not an agenda only for the poor. It is for the benefit of all Liberians. But it is a policy framework that gives priority to the alleviation of poverty and its core objectives, and focus is to reduce the marginalizations of the most vulnerable, whilst at the same time creating a conducive atmosphere for the middle and upper income Liberian to grow and prosper. We want to build a harmonious society based on the goal of economic empowerment, especially for the underprivileged. Our proposed agenda is therefore designed to give power to the people, promote economic diversification, protect sustainable peace, and encourage good governance. We appeal to our friends, bilateral partners, and private investors to support this agenda. Madam President, as we focus on actions plan to implement our development agenda, we are acutely aware of the vulnerability of our youthful population, who are clearly disadvantaged as a result of high unemployment and lack of access to quality educational opportunities. Our plan is to revise their unfortunate situations and make them productive citizens through the provision of adequate educational facilities at the high school and college levels.
Well, in September of 2018, President George Weah, for the first time as also head of state of Liberia, attended the China Africa Forum called FOCA, hosted by the Chinese President Xi Jinping in Beijing, China. While upon arrival at the Rabos International Airport in Margibi County, President Weah disclosed that the government of the people of China is strongly considering an appeal from his government to develop the agriculture, education, and infrastructural sectors of Liberia.
It was to build relationship, re-strengthen our relationship with China, and then to believe in the One China policy, and to promote the South-South cooperation through One Belt, One Road, and for all of us to work together for the win-win of the both countries. And I think it was a successful trip. You know, we got there, and I spoke to His Excellency Xi Jinping, tete-a-tete, and we talk about our bilateral relations, how we can strengthen it, how we can promote agricultural development infrastructure in our country, and how they can help. And I think it was a good meeting, you know, and I'm happy. I'm glad that our other South meeting was also successful. But that during the week we will get into that, and then you all will be informed. But overall, it was a very good trip, and then we are happy that we are back home.
Mr. President, I'm Joseph Sion from LBS. Mr. President, you lobby immensely for the Liberian people, the $54 million US that is about to come to our country. What was your own impression when you start to push Liberia's own agenda, sir?
Well, I think I have a responsibility to do my work. My work as a leader is to develop the country through our proper agenda, and everywhere I go is to propagate that message to different leaders, you know, that want to build relationship, and those we have partnership with, and I think that what I did, you know, my responsibility is to make sure that I develop. You know, during the campaign I told that I would develop the country, you know, through road infrastructure and other things on our agenda as agriculture, education, and health. So my responsibility is to go out there and to find those who are that want to partnership with us, so we can achieve what we have to achieve for our people.
President George Manneh Weah there speaking to reporters at the Rabos International Airport upon his arrival from China from attending the FOCA summit there in Beijing. We had to see a little more with the president, because in September this year, the president signed into law the Land Rights Act and the Local Government Act. Speaking at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, where the signing ceremony took place, President Weah said the instruments are very crucial to the government and people of Liberia.
In economics, we're told the two major components is land and labor. Liberia has land, we have the labor force. They're both intertwined. If you have land and you don't have labor, you have a problem. If you have labor, you don't have land, you have a problem. Because land is asset. To develop our country, we have to do the right thing for our people. And I think among all of the things we propose, this is the key component while we anticipate other proposals. I want to thank you. I want to thank the both houses, the speaker, our international partners, for being there with us through these difficult tasks. I think it was necessary for all the time it took, but now we realize the dividend. I hope that our people now will own their land, they will respect the rules and guidelines surrounding the land, and then make sure that it brings economic dividend to their generation in this country. So today, they're going to be, I think, my second signing, which is important, and I'm glad. I can only say to God be the glory that it happened. Honor our Gabo. We are hoping to make sure that other instruments that are important for the growth of this country and our people to be sound. We're going to do everything for the Liberian people to get the benefit of what life is all about.
Also speaking at that signing ceremony, United States Ambassador to Liberia, Christian Eder, called for the implementation of the two instruments.
Worldwide, I don't think there are two more difficult issues than to determine land rights and deconcentration of power. And this is something that has been a Liberian-led process. It may not look exactly like any other country, but it's a Liberian-led process, which means it's going to be sustainable. And we are very proud to have been partners along with UNDP, the EU, Sweden, and others on this journey. I congratulate you one and all. I think in particular in the areas of agriculture, this is going to have transformative impact, and we look forward to working with you as you work that out. And people who've never had the chance to have any collateral before, this kind of advancement and certainty in the law is going to have all kinds of implications for how you go about your livelihoods, particularly in key areas like farming. And I would say also, Mr. President, it's very complementary to other aspects that you've already initiated in your agenda, like the roads. Deconcentration, decentralization means nothing if you can't get there. And no country can survive from its capital. So I think it's very complementary to a number of the other key elements of the Pro-Poor agenda that you have put forward. So we are deeply honored to be a part of the celebrations today. We congratulate all of those who have been a key part of it. I thank on my team USAID, who has stuck with this through all the twists and turns and will be with you going forward as you continue to implement this. So thank you very much.
In the wake of the 16 billion Liberian dollar banknotes, the House Speaker, Bofo Chimos, says the 53rd National Legislature did not authorize the printing of the 16 billion Liberian dollar banknotes. While Speaker Chimos also disclosed that the printing of the 500 banknote was not authorized by the National Legislature. Speaker Chimos has been explaining more to our sister program.
It has to do with bank printing, banknotes being printed. We'll have to, have some approval by the legislature. So the legislature gave its own decision, its own approval for a certain amount of banknotes to be printed. So even
in 2016,
even the description, yes, even the description as to what should be done. Some of those things that came about were coins should be minted. It should be of the same features. $5 should be the same $5. $10 should be the same $10. $20 should be the same $20. $50 should be the same $50, and $100 should be the same $100. At the same with the same features, but
at the time, right? That was the instruction.
At that time.
Okay.
At that time. So the outcome of it surprised everybody, and we thought that some of us felt that it was a quagmire being created.
What do you mean?
Well, it was something that didn't have foundation, almost like a soft area, and then it was going to sink. I think you saw that the consequence of that. You saw what happened during the elections. I mean, after the elections, this new government, our government that came in, you saw the pace at which inflation was run.
Meanwhile, the House Speaker also pledged 1,000 United States dollars to the LBS management to help with the operations of the system.
We have somebody who is sacrificially working for this country selflessly. Let us all rally around him. Also, the legislature is putting its best. Let us rally around the legislature. It is stated that good people make good people better. Other good people better. Good environment make good people better. And bad people good. And even better people best. Bad environment would then make bad people worse and good people bad. So what is it that our people now are kind of giving the young people and those that are wanting, a kind of a new lease on life? I think we must work together collectively so that Liberia will be stable, Liberia will be safe, Liberia will be peaceful, Liberia will be prosperous. We need justice, but justice has rules. We must follow those rules.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for what you do for our people and the challenges you have. We will do what is required so that to ensure that you have a smooth operation. My office or myself will donate some amount that will go to purchase fuel for your operation. It will be $1,000. So we're going to give it to LBS to do its work for the people. I know you have challenges. You have budgetary challenges, and we also heard that even the workers are being affected somehow. Government is working in that direction, and we show that you help our people, as we all need help. And information is priceless. So I want to thank you for what you are doing. In my view, is super irrelevant.
We're talking about the alleged missing $16 billion Liberian dollars. President George Manawiya warned that if it is proven that any money was missing, anyone involved will be made to restitute or be prosecuted within the law of the Republic of Liberia. The president made these remarks during his Thanksgiving service at the Isaac Wingard Church in Monrovia.
I can guarantee you, as I said to the UN, if our international partner come with a team and they find out that something was missing, everyone that took something, if they can bring it back, we'll get an opportunity to bring it back. If they can't bring it back, they will be prosecuted by the law. The law will take a course. And I tell my friends then, Minister, just make sure, think about the past when you're working with some of these people. And don't be implicated. Don't be implicated. I want to focus. So I'm asking you people, please help me to be focused. Because if you wish for me to fail, how does that help you? Will it develop your life? You forget to know that I'm from the school of thought. Failure is a learning process for me. When I went to civil professional, the first 3 weeks, 6 months, I couldn't play good. They put me on the bench. I work hard, I got on the top. So falling and waking up every day is my everyday thing.
President George Manawiya there speaking. While the Labour Ministry and partners opened the first ever National Labour Congress in Monrovia under the theme A Decent Workforce Under a One Labour Law. Speaking at the opening ceremony, Labour Minister Moses Colley said the 3-day gathering is expected to address key challenges facing the labour sector of Liberia.
Remarkable progress has been made in the reform process with the realization of the new labour law known as the Decent Work Act of 2015 and the subsequent establishment of minimum wages for formal, informal, and casual workers in Liberia, conducted 2 successive labor force surveys with one completed in 2010 that determined concrete and reliable labor market information, and second conducted in 2017 pending completion, strengthened labor administration, completed and launched national employment policy, labor union centralized under the Liberia National Labour Congress, etc.
Minister Colley also used that occasion to outline some of the gains made so far at the Ministry of Labour.
We anticipate that at the end of this conference, that stakeholders, that is the national tripartite partners, the international partners, will discuss and conclude on addressing the ambiguities, harmonization, and amendment on all of the inconsistent labor laws, which will provide for the consideration of one labor law for the entire labor sector in Liberia. 2, that this conference will conclude on new strategies or implementation of the National Action Plan on child labor, trafficking in persons, HIV in the workplace, and the visa work country program. 3, that the national tripartite partners, that is the Employers Association and the Employees Association and government, at the end of this conference, will reason together and agree on a new process of dialogue and negotiation as the best way in handling labor disputes, other than emotional dismissal, strikes, and demonstration at the workplace.
Moses Colley, Labour Minister, there speaking. Government of Liberia announced the arrival of consignment of purple rice during the festive season in Liberia. Commerce Minister Wilson Tabet told state television that the rice will be available on the Liberian market soon.
It has always been the plan of the President and this government to make life easy and affordable for our people. Back in July, you will notice that there was effort made to reduce tariffs for the private sector to do better. And coming to this season, the President determined that efforts that were made, gains that were made, should be passed on to the population. So there is a consignment of purple rice, about 80,000 bags, not much, but it's a beginning. That will be available to the market. We are having our final meeting with the Liberia Marketing Association today, and that rice should begin being available to the population by Wednesday latest.
Minister Tapper also announced the beginning of inspection of business houses operating in the country.
What we have done in the ministry is to structure the inspection. If you notice, our first time in the inspection was to go after unwholesome foods, unwholesome commodities in the market, and we did a remarkable job at that. In fact, we want to thank the public in this matter. I want to thank the public for helping us. Close to 60% of our success in this respect is the public. They see things and they call us. And of course, the robust nature of the inspectorate and the entire team at the ministry. So this inspection coming on Monday is to make sure, one, that people who operate here are registered and the taxes are paid. Two, that the goods that they bring in here fulfill certain standards, they meet certain standards. You just don't bring anything here and use this place as a dumping ground. We've done some progress there. Three, where we see people who are not necessarily on course or who have not been able to meet these requirements, to work with them so that they can be able to meet those requirements.
Commerce Minister Wilson Tapper there speaking. President George Manawia says his government remains committed to the provision of the necessary development to uplift Liberians out of poverty. Speaking during the dedication ceremony of the Dole Community Road in Somalia Drive, President Weah said his government attaches seriousness to lifting Liberians out of poverty as enshrined in the Pro-Port Agenda for Prosperity and Development.
You cannot treat this road, this beautiful road, like the way you are treating the first mod that was here. You have to treat the thing with decency. It should be always clean and neat. I don't think your community should encourage cars to be parked here, because what I saw yesterday, I was very discouraged. You say you want development, but we'll give you development, and we are not yet open your road, and you get cars all over the place. You only have one lane. So that is wrong. You have to care for this community. So today, I want to use the occasion to say to the members of the press, our folk estate, our friends, I want to thank them to this Christmas Eve, to those that have been working hard to promote not the government but the image of this country positively. I want to thank them for a great job. We want to say we are partners. Our government is not here to shine. It's not here to make news.
Our government is the right government for you, because we felt the way you're feeling today. We were all in the dungeon of slavery. We were tied, we were on garbage paths. We ran the streets of Maserado County. When you're in the village, when they say you're going to Maserado, you're happy. But sometimes the country life is better than even the city life. Because when we left Southern, we came to Maserado, we wanted to go back. Because times were hard, and where we lived were ghettos, trenches, cabbage, and no one cares.
President George Manawiya there speaking during the dedication of the Do Community Road project there on the Somalia Drive. For his part, Public Works Minister Mabudu Yimpan maintained that the Do Community Road project is a testament of President George Manawiya's commitment to uplifting Liberians out of poverty.
Mr. President, your coming onto the stage as President of this Republic has made a significant difference. Your Excellency, we can say to you today that the road which you are about to dedicate represents an indelible monument, a testimonial to your demonstrated commitment to lift our people out of poverty. Lifting our people out of poverty is a key objective of the Pro-Po agenda for prosperity and development. Your Excellency, history will forever remember you as indeed a country giant, the champion of the suffering masses, and the progenitor of rural development in Liberia. Mr. President, for us at the Ministry of Public Works, as indicated by our Deputy Minister for Technical Services, we are perpetually grateful to you for allowing us to be a cogent part and an implementer in the transformation of our country and in improving the living standard of the ordinary people of Liberia. Mr. President, we remain forever committed and grateful, and like to assure you that we shall never fail you in this endeavor of lifting our people out of poverty through roads connectivity.
Public Works Minister Mabudu Yimpan brings us to the end of this year in review of the Liberia National Television Production Program. Well, but before we let go of you, a reminder of the big stories we followed during the year under review. Soccer legend George Manawiya gets elected and subsequently sworn in as president of the Republic of Liberia. Government begins delivering on its promises, pays the fees of all 12 graders as it breaks ground for the construction of the 14th Military Hospital in Margibi County. After years of delay, President George Manawiya signs into law the Land Rights Act and the Local Government Act, respectively. Government of Liberia clamouses the 2018 year with the arrival of the Pro-Po Rise as it dedicates its first complete road project, the Do Community Road project linking Do Community to Claratown. Many thanks to all of our contributors, switchers, reporters, cameramen, and editors for making this edition a success. Many thanks to you out there for watching us throughout the year 2018. Until we talk to you next year, Merry Christmas and a happy, prosperous New Year to you and your family. Bye-bye.